Late night sketching always feels magical, doesn't it? While the city outside is alive with Saturday night energy, I've decided to retreat into my sketchbook, bringing two fantasy characters to life. Tonight I'm capturing the essence of a mysterious mage and a serene druidess in this quick time-lapse. So grab a cozy spot and join me as the magic unfolds. Hello everybody, I hope you're doing good. And I just wanted to share this video with you. It's something different that I'm doing and adding this commentary over the time-lapse afterwards. It was Saturday night, as I mentioned, late into Saturday night, and I really just wanted to get my daily sketch done. I'd been out all day working and I was feeling something in the magical fantasy art sort of realm. I wanted to Initially, I was just thinking just to work on this sort of magician, sage-like character and just leave it as that. But I decided actually the next morning to continue on with filling the opposite page with a female character as well to go along with him. And they were both quick sketches and I hadn't really done a kind of warm-up for this. I just went straight in. Inspiration was strong. I was feeling the creative energy, as I usually do anyway late at night, even though that I tend to get up early in the morning. I'm sure many of you are, as artists, quite similar, feeling that creative spark later on. And this sketch was just something quick. I was looking at a simple reference photo of a man with a beard, and I just wanted to get something down, just something relaxing, enjoyable, no pressure to come up with a really good drawing. It was just a quick sketch, and I really liked this idea of the man playing with some kind of magic or forming some kind of magic or energy in between his hands and sparks of that flying off around him. He's wearing this collared cloak material. It's always very fun and enjoyable for me to work on these little portraits, and I mean, I say little. This sketchbook is just one of my A5 sketchbooks, one of my Moleskine sketchbooks, which I really like to draw in daily. And I usually prefer to do these kind of sketches during the day with the natural light, but I decided this time to just go ahead and give it a go in the evening. And it was pretty late. It was around midnight, and you could hear I'm basically living in the center, the heartbeat of my city, and you can hear people going out. Even from this studio room that I'm working in, you can hear people on their way to the pubs and bars. But I was just really feeling this urge to just be in my own world and bring some fantasy characters to life in my sketchbook. I'm sure many of you can relate as artists. And something really fun about bringing in the imaginary elements into your sketchworks that could be influenced by fantasy film, myths, legends, stories, and you can just experiment in your sketchbook by bringing some of these ideas to life. And I really do encourage that. It's something that I really like to do on top of doing standard pencil studies, strongly looking at reference and using that as a point to basically do a copy of something. I think it's really important as well to use your imagination to sketch as well as doing a study. And after I finished the sketch of the magician character, I went straight into the next morning. I mean, it was quite late when I finished the male character. But the next morning I decided to open up the sketchbook again with the natural light this time and draw a companion character to go with him. And I wasn't worried about the fact that I'd gone over the page with the first character. I thought maybe anyway this could create some kind of unity between them both. But I realised when I started the lady that I wasn't really warmed up, so I pulled this sheet of paper, which is simply a print paper, and this is one of the exercises I do for warm-ups, which is to draw a number of ellipses lightly and straight lines and fill the ellipses with a line going straight through the middle. And I tend to draw them in lots of different directions, and usually for about 2 to 3 minutes, just to get that hand-to-eye coordination going and feel the flow better so I can strike with more accuracy in the sketchbook. So I bring the sketchbook back in and I'm laying in the foundations of this female character's face and her portrait, figuring out where she's looking, what her facial expression's going to be. And in my mind as I'm doing this, I'm asking myself questions like, who is she and what is she doing? What is she thinking? What is she feeling? I'm trying to work all of this out because it was a spontaneous couple of sketches without having any sort of pre-planned story behind them. And this is also quite a beautiful thing about just getting to work and sketching, is that you can develop the stories as well as you go along with these characters. Now this lady was relatively young. I imagined her being early 20s or around 20 years old. Some kind of, I wasn't sure if she was going to be a priestess or some kind, or a druidess who was very close to nature and the natural world and perhaps even magic. I was thinking here of creating some kind of naturalistic headdress. I think that's what you call it. If it isn't a headdress, please let me know. Like some very light jewellery in their hair that sort of wraps around their head and drapes down. Here I did a lot of these ring-like shapes draping down from this interesting looking plant or flower ornament in her hair or piece of jewellery. And then I decided I wanted to bring that very iconic circle around her head that you see in a lot of illustration work and a lot of fantasy art that really helps to frame the portrait. It's something that I actually like to do quite a bit from time to time. And I decided I was going to make her hair very long, draping all the way down below her waist, and I wanted her to have quite dark hair, almost black. So as I was developing this, I was realising actually, I'm probably going to have to go in with 2 or 3 layers of sketching on top to darken the values of her hair and really make her face pop as well. And one thing that I really like to do is work with the contour lines as I'm going about these sketches, like strengthening some of the outlines and details in certain areas. I was thinking here of maybe trying to give her an earring, but I didn't like the look of it, so I took that out, sketched the hair back in. One thing I also do quite often, as you can see here, is once I'm starting to develop a drawing or a sketch, I'll like to get a sheet of print paper, fold it up, and I use it as a rest for my palm, the palm of my hand, and my wrist, so I'm not smudging any of the work that I've done on the right hand side of the drawing. I mean, as a general rule, if you're right-handed, it's best to start from left to right with shading and details, and obviously the reverse if you're left-handed, but sometimes you just want to develop the other side a bit more in the early stages, and then doing this definitely helps, and you can just get rid of the paper when you feel. At this point, I'm rotating the sketchbook quite a bit because even though I'm drawing different lines in different directions, there is a stroke that I prefer to do the most in one direction that tends to give the most accuracy. And especially if I'm going over a larger area, it tends to be better for me to rotate the sketchbook so I can fulfill that stroke much more evenly, smoothly. Here I'm experimenting with showing you different camera angles of the sketch, seeing what looks good and testing this out. If you have any preferences, let me know. Sometimes it can be tricky doing the overhead camera view, especially with the current setup I have, but in this video I do actually experiment with that, as you can see here. And these are the 2 characters together, obviously. Maybe you can come up with your own story of who they are and what they're doing. What is their relationship to each other? But this practice is a great way to get in your daily sketch work, a little bit of daily practice, and it's very fun. It really is. I love doing this. And as you can see, I keep going back over the hair, areas of the hair where I'm applying more tone, more value, darkening some of it and strengthening the line of some parts of her hair. I've also introduced a blending stub very, very lightly in some areas to blend some of the pencil tone that I put in with one of my favourite pencils that I like to use. And I'm pretty happy with this sketch as it is. I decided I wasn't going to really do any sort of detail on her chest. I just wanted to focus on the hair and the face. And this was the result of the two characters together. And gave myself a limit to just do a few final details, correcting some of the proportions of the chin and the face and the neck, and just making sure that I've framed her and she pops quite nicely. And that wraps up tonight's sketchbook session. A mage and a druidess, sketched and ready to tell their stories. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to Robbie Allen Artist for more art adventures. By the way, if you're looking to stay inspired and productive in your own art practice, I have a free ebook called Maintain Artistic Flow and Productivity just for you. It's packed with tips to keep your creativity thriving, and you can grab it through the link in the description below. Let me know in the comments which sketch you liked most, or what fantasy characters I should draw next. And until next time, keep creating and stay inspired.